What do you see when you look at this? Do you see empty space? Do you see all your belongings strewn through the void? Maybe you see the chance to drift away to your death. Or the chance for your things to drift away and be lost forever.
Cognition
To
critical.
die with no air, floating in space.
Cognition critical.
Or to die with no air, floating in space, while naked. I see a shining white space station. I see life support. I see an oasis of green in amongst the darkness of space. Let me explain. So the latest Stationeers update has just dropped. It includes liquid water in the world. I was really excited. I thought, great, I'm going to try Titan, I'm going to try all sorts of other custom maps, I'm going to have a great time with liquid water. Except when I loaded the game up, I found that actually the updates made it impossible to load any custom maps, so time to do something different. So I thought, let's go back to space. We don't spend enough time there. Go and see what I can do. So this is a 5-hour build project condensed into 2 1-hour videos. Go! So the first thing to note about the space map is it generates terrain beautifully like this when you start it the very first time. However, you'll see some asteroids. That's all good. That's what we're wanting. There's not a huge number. Actually, there's a few. Decent number of asteroids. That's great. But those asteroids will not respawn when you reload unless you have modified the terrain. So there's clearly some sort of weird terrain bug. I'm guessing the whole terrain reworking might fix it. But if you have a space map and you load it up and you've got some asteroids and you think fantastic and you don't touch them and you save the game, quit the game, reload, you'll find you are in empty space with no asteroids anywhere and thus no raw materials. So very early thing we're going to do is actually, maybe before I do anything else, is I'm going to go and equip my mining drill. I'm also going to turn my jetpack stabilizer off for this map, and I am going to fly to each of these asteroids and I'm just going to basically chop a few bits off it, which seems to be enough. And it obviously works in chunks, because when it reloads very often you'll get very strange square corners that are obviously the borders of a map chunk, but doing something seems to be enough to make sure it respawns. So I don't really want to actually mine any resources because well, we're not really ready for that yet, but I do just want to do enough to make sure that these stay. Now whilst we're just drifting through here, I'm going to load up the tablet with that and we'll close that out the way. Right, here we go. So we'll come in here and we'll just chop a piece off the side, and I'll just try and get a little bit of a hole through somewhere, just enough that it goes, oh yeah, you've done stuff here. I need to actually record the final shape of the asteroid rather than however it stores it before you start chopping bits out, which is always good. Right, so there we go. So we're going to go and do that on all of the other asteroids. I'm sure you don't want to watch me do that, so here it is on super high speed, and I'm going to be skipping through a fair few boring bits during this video. Okay, I think we're just about done, so let's head back to the lander, and when we get there we're going to build the outer shell of a station around the lander, which will enable us to make sure all this stuff doesn't drift away, because one touch and it will go flying. Right, I'm turning the stabilizer on now so that I don't smack into all that stuff. And we're going to go straight up to construction supplies, and I'm going to grab the iron frames and I'm going to grab some walls. So we'll start with the frames. We do need to actually build a base of frames because there are a number of machines that will not go on to anything else. You see I'm being very careful not to touch the lander. Do not touch the lander. Now the next thing I need to try and do is figure out where's the sun. The sun's rotating, I think it's rotating up this way roughly. What I want to do is to work out which end of the station the sun is orbiting around. Okay, so I think I want to put one more row on here. So what I've built here is a 4x5 grid. That is the base that we are going to build to. Everything we do is going to fit into that. I will want one more frame actually, won't I? Now if the sun's going that way, I am going to put the this end. No, I think it needs to go over here. I'm going to put this over here. Okay. I think that's right. I'm slightly concerned that I've got the orientation of the sun wrong, but there we go. Right, so what I'm now going to do is I'm going to put these on the inside so it's easier to line the outside later. Okay, now for the tricky bit. Sometimes the lander will happily have spawned in almost lined up to the grid, other times it really won't. But before we do the next bit here, I'm actually going to put the first weld onto the frames, because otherwise that gas cylinder at least is going to drift out through the bottom very easily. So let's get this welded. Iron sheets. I don't need to make it airtight yet, I just need to make it enough of a grid that things can't fall through. Okay, now for the tricky bit. Let's get that in there. Okay, that hasn't made it freak out yet. Right, now what I need to do is actually actively shove it downwards. So I'm going to go right above it and I'm going to push down, and there we go. See, that's started it moving. Come on, down you go. So I'm thrusting down on my jetpack. That's enough, right? Okay. That's probably enough. I don't know. I'm not completely convinced that's not going to freak out because the dish is sticking through the top. Okay, it did not freak out. That's a good start. Amazing. Right, okay, so that's a bit untidy, but don't worry, we're going to be destroying that lander soon enough. Now, where did I put the extra frame? There it is. Okay, so that extra frame is where we're going to put our airlock. So I'm going to actually slightly break my own rule now. I'm going to put some windows on that just because it's a small area and it's actually quite nice to be able to see where you're going when you come out the airlock. So we're going to make that into a little tunnel. I've got 2 walls left, and we'll be finding a use for them very soon. So and that has caused the game to say, oh, you're in a room now, you have gravity. It doesn't make any sense, I know. But that's how it is. Gravity is affected by being in a room. Anyway, right, now we're going to get the rest of these iron sheets and we're going to do this. Can't make that work for now. Right, okay, we'll come back and do that in a minute. Right, we'll get the welding torch out, we'll close up these floors. Now, a key thing here is to be really careful. Whoa! Not to do that! I've just destroyed my suit. That is the end of everything. Well, game over. I have no suit. I'm actually naked in space. Don't do that. we'll try this one again from the start. Okay, I think that's everything back to where we were, more or less. And I'm going to glaze the... Actually, I'm going to do one more thing before I glaze it, because I'm going to need to be able to get cable out here. So I'm going to put that there. That will make much more sense later, I promise. Right, now I'm going to glaze it. That one, if I can find the hot spot to do it. Is it going to happen? Is it going to be silly? And I may as well force that one open, but we are now airtight at 2000 degrees C briefly. Not ideal, but there we go. Let's just chuck that on the floor. That'll probably melt reasonably quickly, I would hope, or maybe not. Maybe 2000 degrees, but there's not enough actual atmosphere in here to do that. So I'm going to eject my waste tank to get some atmosphere. That should be enough. It's over freezing, so really that ought to be starting to melt, but it's just not doing it. Okay, anyway, we've got the beginnings of something sealed. We don't seem to have a lot of pressure, but I think that's okay. Right, okay, now for the great dismantling. Now we're in an enclosed space. I'm going to take the angle grinder and deconstruct the lander, and there we go, all the crates fall to the floor. It's a bit of a mess, but it's our mess, and it's now home. So let's just pick these up a bit. So this space that we've created here is a 5x4x2 box. Everything we're going to do, everything we're going to build, we're going to fit inside this. That is the challenge. So we're going to build a functional base inside this area. There. Okay, so that's enough to be able to power that. So we'll push that open, flick the power on. Okay, and I've got a couple of spare batteries, so that will be enough to get things moving. I need 2 iron sheets, so that's the first place I have messed up. Because nothing we have here has got 2 iron sheets, so I'm going to have to actually rip 2 off somewhere. Right, now the very first thing we're going to do is to build an electronics printer. Right, and the electronics is the first thing we're building because the critical thing to do is going to be to get some power infrastructure up and running. What I'm also going to do while that is making, because there's not a lot else I can do, is to start work on the airlock. And I want to put this, I'm going to squeeze this in here. Electronics printer, right now, okay. The absolute important thing to get done here first of all is to build a proper battery. So I'm going to need the gold and the copper out of the other one, and I'm going to need some steel. Luckily we get steel at the start on this one, so that will save some grief. So I'm going to chuck that in there. I'm going to set that to eject from there when it's finished. That's still only on 29%, so I'm now going to get some of this done. So next thing I'm going to There's our battery, amazing. Right, so this battery is going to go in here, and we're going to turn it round this way. This is going to need to be tight the way we construct this. I think I can get it nudged in like that. That should do the job. Okay, now got a few more bits of electrical infrastructure I want to build to avoid problems later, so I'm going to build a small transformer. That's not too difficult, and I'm going to build some heavy cable. And over here I'm going to need some steel sheets, and let's put that actually back in. I think there was a second ingot of steel if I recall. Yes, there was. Amazing. That can go straight in there. We don't need many, but we do need a couple to finish that battery. We're going to be making a lot of steel sheets, I predict, during the course of this construction, but right, and then we'll start those building some heavy cable coils. We might be able to almost leapfrog ourselves ahead to a sensible power setup quite early on. Now I'm going to put that transformer there. Okay, and then the other thing we're going to need a load of is solar panels. Solar panel basic in full sunlight. I reckon if we have 10 of them on each side, I'm not saying we're building those straight away, that ice has melted now, but 10 of those on each side will be enough to drive that when it's at 5 kilowatts, which is the maximum it goes to. So that is our maximum power capacity for this station. We're not going to be anywhere near that initially, but I'm going to let this make a few more, because power is definitely going to be a critical resource. But I'll go out and start building with some of the ones we've got. I just need to be a little bit careful that I don't forget about that and come back to find a billion. I'm going to come around here. Now this is where I cared where the sun position was, because what I want to do is to basically build a ring of solar panels around this end. I'm going to start by putting them on two different sides. There we go. Right, so we now have two solar panels. Currently they're both on the wrong side to get any sun, but they are both connected to charge the battery. I've got a load more being built in there. Right, now this now needs some speedy work actually. I need to make at least some heavy cable coil so I can connect up the right, that's the minimum. That can go in there, and then that's enough to connect that to there. Okay, now we've got the ability to get power. I'll just turn this all the way up actually. I've got the ability to get power out of the battery into this cable, which I could now connect up. So that's pretty important. Obviously I don't really want to run out of the charges left in there. You can see how fast that's depleting. What I really want to do is to connect this here. In fact, I don't want to use that kind of cable. I want to use this kind. genius. Whoops. Well, at least there would be geniusness going on if that wasn't in the way. There we go. And that's going to go into there. Right, okay, now we are running power from the main battery onto those, which is a good start. Plus, we've now actually got a mechanism to recharge the soup batteries, if I can find a dead one. This one. Get it in there and turn that on. Good, okay, that will stop me from dying of lack of soup power. Right, I am now getting thirsty again. The good news is I can actually risk attempting to eat and drink in here. It's 34 degrees, it's very low pressure, so clearly I'm going to suffocate, but that's a start. We're going to throw that on the floor over there. We'll get a water system up and running in a bit, but for now we have enough supplies. Okay, so that is the last of our main machines, which is good news. Right, now what I'm going to do is throw together some walls. Let's build a stacker, that will make life a bit easier. Let's turn that off, shut that. Okay, that's that. Let's put it there, I guess. Yeah. Oh, very low on cable now. That's okay. Do that. One cable left, but that's enough. Right, and I'm going to increase that to 50. Turn that on. What I'm going to do is basically enclose the furnace and also the solid generator, because they're going to off-gas things that are toxic, and we don't want that. We don't have anywhere else to go, so that's not good. Right, how are we doing for power? Still no power. Okay, we've kind of just got to wait. So I suppose the obvious thing to do is to go and try to mine a spot of coal to speed up the power generation. I've actually run out of power in the drill, so I'm just going to head for home, I guess. Right, I'm going to do a bit of a quick and dirty with this. I'm just going to allow that to melt. We obviously have got some oxygen tanks. Oh, I left those on. That was very naughty indeed. When power is short. Right, let's get these through here. Look at that. Not much power in there, but better than nothing. And these are fully charged, right? And that one. There we go. Look at all those lovely ingots. That should be a lot easier to work with now. Right. Next thing I'm going to do, I'm actually going to build some walls in here. So the key thing I'm concerned about is there's probably already some pollutants. Yes, there are. And those are just going to build up. So I want to get rid of those before they get out of control. But I also want to harness the pollutants to use to cool the place down, because it's already 32 degrees. and it's likely to get warmer. Right, now in the meantime let's release this nitrogen. Start to get a bit of pressure into the room, and more importantly get that tank empty, and then I can get it out of the way. I'm going to put some pieces in upstairs. Okay, now I'm going to put a unit in here. Let's try and figure out how tightly I can build this. I suspect I can probably get it about here. And I'm going to put some more atmosphere processing somewhere else, probably over there. Right, so I'm going to need those pipes. What did I do with the pipes? I threw them in one of these, didn't I? Starting to see what's going on in this place. There's the pipes. Right, I'm going to run that this way. I'm going to run that this way. Actually, I'm going to run it right through there, I think. And this one I'm going to bring over here. Oops, that was the right way round, and I managed to turn it the wrong way round. That was very, very special. Actually, I might leave that there. We're going to put a valve on that. Can I even get in over here? Maybe, maybe not. Wait, okay, that's good. Now I can. And that's going to go up there. Right, I need a couple more pipes, but we're in reasonable state. What I'm definitely going to need is more cable. I've just realised I completely ran out. So let's get that going. And then over here I want some, whoops, no I don't want some W. I want some filter, I want a pollutant filter, so I'm going to need iron in there. I'm going to need a couple of passive vents. I need a valve. I'm going to want a wall cooler because it's starting to warm up in here. This is a bit better. That'll do for now. Don't go crazy. Whoops. Put that vent there. I might want that lower, but actually that's probably not quite ideal. I'll put it there, and then I want a vent on here. I think I can place it directly. Let's just check. No, just go away, I don't want you. Right, I want a one-way valve, and I want that. Is that the right way around? No, it's not. There we go, like that. And I can put you on there, there we go. Right, so that's going to let the back out. I need a couple more pipes. In fact, I need quite a few more pipes, if I'm honest. That on there, that on there, whoops. Okay, that's good. Now in the meantime, while that's doing its thing, I can finish that. do for a minute. Did I print that wall cooler? Maybe I didn't. I'm going to assume I didn't. Right, now the reason I'm doing the wall cooler at the same time is if I do this right, I probably need a back pressure regulator on that just to avoid blowing the whole system up actually, now I think about it. And I'm also going to want a drain because it's going to liquefy when it gets outside. But if I do this right, it should be possible to plumb the let's put that up. How high do I need it? It's probably higher than it needs to be, but it should be possible to plumb the wall cooler into here, and we can feed the pollutant, which is a very good coolant, out into a pipe network out there. I can attach it to some radiators, which I shall make in a moment. Actually, I want that to be a configuration that's probably very difficult to achieve. I want that, and then I'll probably easier just do it like this, I think, and then I want that. There we go, and then I want that to go there, and that will go to a cowl. We'll set that to pretty high, maybe 3,000 or 4,000, but not so high that it pops. I'm conscious that this is going to be heating and cooling quite a lot, which is obviously a recipe for disaster when it comes to pipes. Let's wire this lot up. Okay, that just needs to actually be connected, doesn't it? That would help. I forgot about that little detail. Connect that across there, there, and there. Right. So in theory, that should start to extract from there. Let's just check. I don't want to blow the system up before I finish building the outside bit, but that is pollutant going in there. That is free of pollutant going in there. So now the trick is to get that bit built before it busts, which I think we've got plenty of time on. Right, I need a pipe cowl. And I need some radiators. This is the genius of having chopped up all of that stuff. Whatever I need, I've got it just ready to go. Right, so I think if I stick maybe 3 radiators on there and a cowl on the waste overflow, and I'll stick a drain on the end, I think that should give us everything we need. On the other hand, health critical means I need to just deal with some food before I start mucking about outside. So that was lucky that I had noticed that. Yeah, I know. At least we've got some pressure in here now. Right, cycle to exterior. Quite soon we will pressurise that place properly. Right, okay, so this is what we're going to build out here. Whoa, 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 whoa. Okay, there we go. Right. I forgot the stabiliser is off. I think we'll turn it back on for this. Construction with no stabiliser is a bit messy. Right, so we're going to put the cowl on there. That's now the emergency overflow. And then on here, I'm going to build that's actually probably enough. and I'm going to stick these radiators facing this way so they're never facing towards the sun because it's always behind. And I'm going to take this drain and I'm going to stick this on the end there, so if anything liquefies in that pipe when it gets too cold, it just comes out as liquid and is wasted into space, but it doesn't blow anything up, because I suspect that this is going to range quite a lot in different temperatures. I mean, it's down at -50 at the moment, but I suspect once we run the cooling system for any amount of time, it's going to get up to a couple of 100 degrees, so it's going to expand and contract quite a lot, which is why I have built some safeties. Let's not bother waiting to pressurize. Good. Okay, so that is doing two things for us. Number one, it is getting some coolant so that we can run the wall cooler, which I will. It's 25 degrees, so we don't really need it at the moment. Right, okay, we're struggling a bit with power, but it will get us that, but also it is cleaning up the slightly dirty atmosphere. And I'm going to make an IC10, and the other thing I'm going to make after that is I'm going to make a motherboard with an IC editor. I'm not going to make a computer because in here somewhere in one of these is a computer. It's meant for building the rocket, but there we go. That is not what we're going to use it for. Obviously doing various bits of the build in parallel here, because it's just more efficient. And I'm also going to build some stairs whilst it's in my head. Right. Right, we've now got exactly one device that can see and program, and that's all I need. So I'm going to put this in here. So I'm actually going to connect this up. This is going to look a little bit mad, but I am going to use this chip as the means to do a number of different things. So I'm going to connect it to the wall cooler. Do you know what? I need another sensor setting up over here to actually pick up the temperature on that wall cooler. So let's get that done quickly. And the reason I'm setting this up over here is that creates a bit of a natural buffer between where the cooler is and the room, which will stop it just constantly flicking on and off in a really annoying way. So let's find that gas sensor. Whoops, I just found it and then missed it. Gas sensor. Right, okay. Right, so let's create some code here. So we're going to start with a loop, which we know at the end of the loop we're going to want to do a yield and jump back to the loop. So that's the core logic. Now, the first thing we're going to do is we are going to load in from the into register 0 from the device. We're going to read in the amount of pollutants. So I think if we say, I always get this in the wrong order, I think it's pollutant input ratio. No, it's ratio pollutant input, or input place. It's something like that. There we go. Right, so that's the amount of pollutant, and we're going to do a really simple calculation. We're just going to go, if that's greater than 0, then we're going to set R1 to 1, right? So R1 will just say, is there any pollutant? And we are then going to save back onto the device mode R1. So it will then go idle when there is no pollutant, or it will be active when there is. That is the simplest piece of logic for a filter, and that will happily just run. So we could just do that, and that's going to filter the pollutant. But whilst we're already running a bunch of code, let's do some more clever stuff. So let's start by loading into register 2 D1, which was the gas sensor temperature, and then let's do a similar if it's greater than, we'll put that into R3. If R2 is greater than, let's say 298 Kelvin, so 25 degrees C, then toggle that on, and we're going to go save to device 0 on R3, so we're now also controlling the wall cooler automatically in the same loop. But I think we can do a bit better than that. I just need to make one further adjustment, so I'm going to export that to there anyway, and we'll just check that that's actually working. Wall cooler has turned itself on, it's 34 degrees, so that looks good. This is active, which is what I'd expect. Now the thing I was going to do was, let's connect. This is quite a neat trick if you want to conserve resources early game. You can use the IC chips running on an atmospherics device to do more than one task. A lot of the time you see people running them with just the filtration task, and that's kind of okay, but you can definitely make them do a number of different things. Obviously they've only got 2 screws, so you can't connect them to a huge number of devices, but you can definitely do a few fancy things. Right, so that is now connected. Right. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back into this code. So what I'm now going to do is I'm going to do a batch load into R4, because we haven't used that register yet, and I'm going to batch load from the batteries. So I'm going to go here and I'm just going to go I'm going to try and type battery correctly as well. Battery, station battery, and I'm going to click on the prefab hash to copy it to the clipboard, and I'm going to paste it in there. And what I'm looking for is the charge, and I want the sum. So all the batteries in the station, of which there's currently only one, I'm going to get the sum of the charge. I'm again going to copy that and paste it, and into R5 I'm going to put the maximum. And then I'm going to do a quick calculation. I'm going to say put the result into R5, so R4 divided by R5. So that will give us a number from 0 to 1, which is the ratio of the current charge. I'm then going to say set greater than, what the hell am I doing, less than, so I'm going to set R5 to 1 if R5 itself, so this is a neat way of avoiding using more registers than you need, is less than 0.8. I'm not going to put it at 100 because I don't want to run the generator when the battery's completely full. Coal's a finite resource, but when it's below 80% I'm going to run the solid generator. That's going to be the plan. So in order to make that happen, I'm now going to do an SB, save batch. Again, I'm going to go here, I'm going to go solid generator there, make sure we get the right one, not the kit. I'm going to copy the prefab hash, I'm going to paste that in there, I'm going to make the logic type on, and it's going to be R5. There we go, and job done. Export that. Now anytime that battery, or the sum of all the batteries, is below 80%, it's going to turn on all of the solid generators in the base, of which there is currently only one. So I'm going to need to connect all of that up to some sort of gas processing system, but in the short term I think that will get us going. So that should now sit quietly and just turn on when it needs to. Obviously what I can't easily see is how much is left in the we sort of just turn on and off there. So what's the state of the atmosphere in here? Okay, that pollutant is coming down. I've obviously created a bit more when I did some welding just now. That is all pollutant. Okay, that's looking alright. Good. Right. So the next thing to do, I think, probably is to try to sort out some sort of water. So that's in here. Now actually one thing we're going to need early on is an ice crusher, so let's actually just start one making. did see some water ice when I was on my travels. Right, this tank should now be empty. It is, so I can now dispose of that. I think I might make a recycler actually. I think now is the time. I'm starting to get a bit of clutter here. Ice crusher is going to go in here. That should do the job. I have built that backwards. I am an idiot. That's better. That's how I wanted it. We're up to 46 kPa of pressure already, which is good. Oh, that was a beautiful bit of balancing. Really need to scrap some of this stuff now, don't I? This is becoming beyond a joke. Right. It's all well and good, but actually until I build a centrifuge I can't do anything with it, but at least it will get it out of the way. There we go, that'll do. Bit tight, but that's the nature of the beast. Probably don't need data on that, but nonetheless that gives us power. Right, okay, let's actually scrap some of the things we don't need now. This is actually very difficult to see what's going on, so I am going to quickly build some outside walls so I can see what is happening. Go. Right, now I should, from here, be able to rip the inside off that. Okay. They're likely to get recycled quite shortly. Right, yeah, I think probably I've done this the wrong way, but never mind. No, maybe not. Okay, that's a good start. And then in here we're going to build further abuse that poor filter logic. What I'm going to do is I am going to create a new piece of logic, so I'm going to move into R9 500. In fact, I'm going to make a little subroutine, I think, called reset, and I'm going to do that in there. Move R9 500 JRA. And I'm going to say JAL reset, and then I am going to, inside the loop here, I'm going to sub R9, R91. I'm going to say SGT, R10, R9, 220. So just a bit more than half the time this will be on. I'm going to then do an SB. I'm going to find the code for grow lights. I'm going to copy that by clicking on it. I'm going to paste that into there. I'm going to set the on to R10, and then I'm going to say BLT R9 1 reset. So if R9 is less than 1, I'm going to jump to the reset, which is going to reset it back to 500. So that should just loop continuously and start at 500, and once it gets to 220 it will turn off. Until then it will be turned on. And if I export that, and again I'm abusing the batch commands so that I don't need to actually connect anything, that if I turn it off it should just turn itself back on. So that's now nicely sorted on a loop. Throw that over there, and actually I think we can plant some potatoes. We'll just plant one just in case, but there we go. And let's just see the state of it. It's growing moderately well. I'm guessing the pressure's probably a bit low for it still. Yeah, a little bit, but that's a start. I'll help it out a little bit. We'll eject a little bit more waste there, so that should start to help. There we go. Okay, I'm going to shut that just to protect it from any nasties that get into the atmosphere in here. That filter's still going, so we're okay. Look at that. There we go. So we now have the rudimentary elements of a base. We can eat, we can drink, we can shower, we can smelt, we have power generation. We should modify this now to connect that pipe up to a waste system and do the same in there, and build some atmosphere processing, which might tuck in under here. Well, will tuck in under there. So I think that will do for now. We've got the basics of what we need in here. We can survive reasonably well. Obviously scope to expand and improve, but that is everything we should need. So I'll see you on the next episode where I'll complete the build. But before I go, you know what I'm going to say. Subscribe to the channel, like the video, share the channel with your friends and your enemies and your neighbours and anyone else. I'll see you on the next episode.